So congratulations, you just had a baby. You're going to bring the baby to a chiropractor because all your friends said you got to take the baby in. So what do you expect? What we're going to talk about now is for parents who don't really understand what it is that they would need to have a chiropractor for their newborn. And I want to just walk through what it's like in our office. So generally what happens is that moms will carry baby in. Sometimes they'll bring baby in a car seat. Sometimes they'll already kind of, wear the baby as they're coming in. We have a lot of our moms who like to do that. And we sit down for a consultation after you fill out some paperwork. In our office, we like to know some things about the birth history. We really are interested in kind of what the pregnancy background is if we don't already know you as a pregnant patient, so that we can have a good baseline for what the baby went through during not only the 9 months of formation, but then also the birth process too. And then what we do is we have a conversation about what chiropractic is. Those of you who have been following our One Belly Wednesdays, we really do a lot of explanation of chiropractic care that very simply, very basically, we're just helping the brain, the body communicate as clearly as possible. Our main job isn't necessarily cracking baby bones. What our main job is helping your child adapt neurologically to the stressors outside in the environment. And listen, they can be all kinds of things. They can be physical stressors, like we've got this little immature spine and sitting there in the car seat and slumping down, or it can be a mental and emotional stressors. I know it's kind of funny to think about a newborn having a mental or emotional stressor, but if you never had to think about eating because you got your food straight from your belly button and all of a sudden you get this hungry sensation and it's just not automatically being filled for you, that can be a stressful situation too. Even, babies don't have what they call object permanence. So they close their eyes and they suddenly think their entire world's disappeared. So that can be scary for them as well. There's also some really good evidence that says that some babies in utero pick up on mom stress. So that can be a factor as well. Chemical stresses, gosh, we live in the most chemically dense environment known to mankind. There's all kinds of chemical stressors out there. Some babies just have a really hard time breaking down some stuff that mom's ordinarily eating. I mean, it can be as big as things like dairy and gluten and egg and soy, the big four, or it could be something as silly as, like, for my son, things like garlic and tomatoes. So we do some testing if we need to knock on that door to figure that out as well. Basically, for the examination, the reason that most babies come into my office is because our job is a little bit different than a pediatrician's. The way that I like to say it is that a pediatrician's job is to check to make sure the in-hole and out-hole are connected, to make sure the organs are where the organs are supposed to be, to make sure those kinds of things biologically are in order for that baby to survive the first year of life. They're a lot less concerned about things like hiccups and reflux and colic and sleep than I am. Because what I'm interested in is the quality of the function of that baby's nerve system. In utero, that baby was developing some reflexes to be able to nurse when you stroke the cheek, or to hold on to your finger when you put it in the hand. It's not really for fingers, guys. It's really to help knead the breast in order to help more milk come in, but go ahead and think that it's about your finger. There's a lot of other reflexes too to help baby be born, and that should be there also later on for things like crawling or being able to sit up and keep that big old bobblehead of a noggin nice and protected. And so what my job is to look at those reflexes and see how they're firing. They should be cruising along evenly both sides. We shouldn't have them going too fast. We shouldn't have them going too slowly. I want to make sure that they're also even and not uneven side to side, or if they're absent. Once I can assess the quality of those reflexes, then that gives me a roadmap. I'm very objective in the way that we practice our profession, where we look to see, okay, well, here's what the reflexes ought to be. And if they need to be tuned down or sped back up, it's not that I'm pushing certain magic buttons. What I'm doing is improving the quality of communication between the brain and the body. We're checking for things like birth injuries. I mean, it happens with 40% of all babies, whether they're born through the birth canal or if they're belly births. 40% of all babies have some form of what they call a subdural hematoma. So it's like a bruise underneath their skull. And the clearance of that really happens through good flow of the cerebral spinal fluid around the cranium, down the spinal cord. Any parent who's seen that big old cone head that baby had looked at that child and said, oh my goodness, is this permanent? Well, one of the things that is kind of amazing about human beings is this thing called cranial blowout, where the head comes into a new shape. We measure from one side to the other, the crown for that baby, to see, okay, well, do we still have some torsion or asymmetry in there? The upper neck bones, we've seen through MRI studies an increase in fluid flow if we make sure that there's proper alignment in there. So all that helps a baby heal after the birth. We're also really interested in the baby's ability to do some very basic things. Thing number one is pooping. Breastfed babies ought to poop 2 to 5 times a day. They also should sleep in 2 to 4 hour blocks. The other thing that we want to look at is the quality of the latch. So a lot of new moms are suffering through what I end up discovering is a bad latch. Pinching, biting, clamping, gaps, dripping milk down. All those are a sign that things aren't sitting in quite right. And that's, again, something that baby chiropractors have a really good handle on when we're checking the cranial motion and also the motion of the jaw. So that's really what you should expect from your chiropractor. What we do is we assess those kinds of things. We put together the roadmap, and then we sit down with our parents and we talk about a program of care. And so when you do that, at least for our practice, you become part of, I guess, one of the ways I like to say it is instead of a place where people come to get their backs cracked, what we are is more like a college for parents who are choosing mindful parenting and conscious parenting, people who really vibe with natural lifestyles. And so for us, we also start giving our classes. We send activities home with our parents. We send them our Pathways to Family Wellness magazine. We really try to circle those parents with community so that they can find the values that match the way that they want to raise their child within our community. Because let's be honest, sometimes we all feel like weirdos. So thanks a lot. Remember to share this with other parents who are, even when they're still pregnant or newly expecting, or if they have just recently had a baby and they've been trying all the other things they've been trying and the baby still doesn't seem to be getting better. Maybe chiropractic is a solution for that child. That's how a lot of people find us. Please subscribe to our channel here on Facebook or on YouTube, and we'll see you next One Belly Wednesday.